Welcome back. This is the Daybreak. It's now your favorite slot in the segment, and that is the sport discussion. And in studio today, I'm having a very, very interesting topic because we've been indulging ourselves during the festive break in different foods that we find, the different beverages that we find as sport people and just as the general public. So in studio, I'm joined by Shagwa Mogwe, who is the conditioning coach of Masitaoka FC, to come and shed some light in terms of how do professional players have to conduct themselves during times like these and what influences their fitness levels over a long season. Should be very, very interesting because there's just a whole lot of science in it. So take a seat, relax and watch and learn how they do it at a professional level. Re Shagwa tla ke tsa sebaka se ke go dumeletse ke go mo the Daybreak.
Dumela mogolo.
Erra. Ke bua ka fitness gore fitness a re setse re bua ka yone re bua ka dikgang tsa conditioning. Where does it all start?
It all starts from when you are designing a program, there are a lot of factors that you have to look into. So those factors are determined by what you want to achieve as a club or as we're at club level. As a club, what do you want to achieve? So you look at the period along when is the season starting? When is the season starting and when is it going to end? And in between the season, in those breaks, and then that's what we call periodization. You periodize the year. It's a plan. It's a cycle. So if you have a periodization, if you have periodized the year correctly, you don't have to worry of anything.
Yeah, can I get a hope because football periodization. I mentioned this word yesterday when I hosted the former coach of Masitaoka, that is Nelson Ulibile, who helped them to promotion back in 2019-2020 season when they made their maiden appearance in the Premier League, and they went all the way to the semi-finals of that very tournament. That is the Orange Africa. Nelson Ulibile, and we did talk about football periodization. What exactly is football periodization? Because you are a conditioning coach, and here is the head coach of a club, and you guys have to work together when we talk issues of conditioning.
Yes, issues of periodization. When you deal with periodization, you look at what is going to happen over the whole season. There's conditioning in pre-season, and then there's conditioning in season, and then there's conditioning again when we have had maybe this 10 days break. Normally that's what happens in our football in Botswana. So you have to be very careful. When are you loading? When are you deloading? What kind of load are you going to do? And what kind of training are you going to do? So now it goes back to the principles of training.
I'm thinking of this issue because I think it's new to our football. Ditlhopha tsa rona di tlhaloganya go le kae, batshameki ba rona ba tlhaloganya go le kae, ha re bua ka the factors that influences conditioning, top high level fitness in the game. Just how much do we know about this specific component in football?
Yeah. So firstly, you have to look there are so many factors that influence the fitness of a player. I get. So you'll roughly go and look at the lifestyle of a player. What kind of lifestyle? Especially on weekends, most of our players, they don't behave like top-notch players. Go EPL, go PSL, week in, week out. I get. So now you have to scrutinize. You have to come up with a way you can be able to align to them while trying to change their attitude. Maybe you sell one or two players abroad, they can be able to adjust to those levels.
Yeah.
So now your condition has to be in line with what they do.
It's very interesting because there is one prolific goal scorer in the colors of Bayern Munich in Germany called Harry Kane. And there is one great player in the world of football, arguably one of the best in world football, that is Cristiano Ronaldo, who the emphasis lies broadly on fitness and nutrition. Harry Kane, he suffered a lot of injuries during his early career at Tottenham Hotspur, and he hired a nutritionist to ensure that he is able to eat well and curb the injuries that he was suffering. How important is this element of nutrition, lifestyle, like you mentioned, into ensuring that you don't suffer injuries, you are able to maintain high intensity performance in different games over a long period of time in a game?
Nutrition plays a major role in everything that you do. Your food, what you take in your body, is very important than what you take out.
Yeah.
So the food is a big part. That's why you'll have, like in big teams, you'll have a conditioning coach, a physiotherapist, a doctor, a nutritionist, or they call it a dietitian or what. So you'll have all those guys because they work together. That's why they say we are now bringing in the scientific approach to football.
Yeah.
So those people, they work together, knowing that 80% of what we eat, 80% of our fitness is what we eat.
Yeah.
And then the 20% is what I, the conditioning coach, do.
Yeah.
So mostly it's 80% is what you take in your body. So how satsoya go ja magwinya, how tswa mo training, go na le small sunya na hale ba heta teng, ba tsa magwinya mabedi a mararo, which means Shagwa bereka la ko morago malatsi. So bereka 20% o tsama 80% backwards.
Yeah.
So it's a big cry. But happy you look at gore those guys come hatseng hale bone, it's everything is set. It's extremely professional. Like haba jankati, they get into training, but that training by Italahobeilo Center, you have to eat this before training, you have to eat this after training. So they know how to fuel them.
Yeah.
So re saletse ko morago.
Re saletse ko morago ne ke tla gone go bua gore go a noa ga go a tshwanna go noa o go tshwantse go noa at what percentage, and I'm now looking at the fact that we want to professionalize the sport, and for us to, or for yourselves to be able to attain the goals that you set yourselves at the beginning of the season, that it means you need to have high level, dedicated and disciplined players.
Yes, perfectly, that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
But in most cases, most injuries that we curb in our league is because of maybe our players, they don't take football very serious. You train Monday to Friday, you are playing on Saturday. Friday after training, you'll find that no, I have got 6 pack nyana hale, kiriana. Kamosoke agame again. So I don't know the head coach doesn't know again. Ratsena, we do warm up, we do everything. Kantelenyana leno outdoor ish fatigue nyana okare. Blakely volanyana ma ba no kare bo khite mo gonna. O semolla go ira gala kantele he gets just an anonymous injury dinoko nyana se re sa siamang, and then that's what led to most of the things.
Yeah, I watched Masitaoka against Gaborone United and I thought it was a beautiful physical display and input in terms of how they played that game. How is your experience working with such a youthful side in terms of discipline, in terms of being able to load them to the maximum to ensure that the output in the field of play is exactly what we saw against Gaborone United at the National Stadium? If you work with those boys, it's very, very interesting to see if I could say, if they could maintain that attitude, I think we will change our football in Botswana. Yeah. Because if I can say no, I'm inviting you to one of our training sessions, and you watch those boys training, you'll be very surprised how they train. They give you everything that you want. Everything. The attitude is changing. We are trying to change football in Botswana. We are trying to bring a lot of things, a lot of aspects, a lot of new training methods. Like as a conditioning coach, I will know there's the time to load, there's the time to deload, but you will never hear them complaining. They will even say, coach, what can I do? Extra work, what can I do to do this? Was I fine on my game? How's my fitness level? All those kind of things. And you will see, if you watch, you will see our team is a new team. But because of how we train and because of the discipline that they're maintaining during training sessions, you can tell that no, the team, how they play, there is direction, there is where we want to go. Yeah. Yes. Nothing beats passion. That is exactly the words that Shagwa is saying at this present moment with his experience in terms of leading Masitaoka. And we see in advanced leagues normally that before the season starts or after the break like this, players go through several tests to test if they could be possible injuries, muscular problems, heart problems. Is that something that you take on board before you do your program? How are we performing in that area?
Okay, definitely, it's a good point. We returned on the 2nd of Jan at Masitaoka Football Club. I'll use Masitaoka as an example.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are the people that I work with.
Rightly so, yeah.
So we returned on the 2nd. On the 2nd when we returned, I did an activation. So usually in a body, because there's our muscles, there's what we call muscle memory. The muscle has a memory. So immediately when you activate, when you have been doing something, when you get back, you have to activate that muscle. Tell them, no, I'm back now to work. That's what is happening. We had a 30 minutes activation. I let the boys go home. We came back the following day. I started doing the fitness tests, all the tests. Started doing reaction tests, muscular endurance, strength, cardiovascular tests to check where we are before we could start our programs, to check the fitness level and everything, whether we're at 60%, 70%, 40%, before anything can take place. So that is included in our periodization cycle, that we knew what is going to happen. And we knew at this time we're going to need to do all those tests. Those tests, they're the ones that give you a guideline of what to do next.
Yeah. That is very interesting. I believe the likes of Udwe Tuto at Masitaoka are the ones who are entrusted to ensure that they relay the message. They keep in touch with the players to ensure that they do observe all that has been put before them by the physical coach. But this all must be a team effort. It must not just be what you are able to do on the field. It is also informed maybe by the philosophy of the coach in terms of at what level of competition he would like to put those players in. Just how much of understanding do you need with your coaches and other technical members to be able to properly put the team in a perfect position for it to compete?
Yeah. So everything that we do is according to the philosophy of Masitaoka Football Club, how we want to play, where we want our players to be. If you have watched the Sundowns conditioning coach, or the doctor at Sundowns, he said most players at Sundowns, they get injuries because the training methods at Sundowns, they are different than
where they came from.
Yeah, from where they came from. So we try to align ourselves to be, because at Masitaoka Football Club, we're a high performance center. So we are keeping ourselves there at the highest so that we can sell our players to anyone, anywhere in the world. So we are trying our level best to be up to standard with everything.
Yeah, that is very, very interesting in terms of, where you take notes from in terms of how you want to advance. And we're not just talking about Masitaoka, but we're generally talking about other factors that other players from different teams can observe. Yeah. In terms of what you've seen in our league, where would you say we are in terms of fitness levels, in terms of taking conditioning issues very seriously? Because I know you've got other friends in different clubs around the country. How is this particular aspect growing in our football?
I will say we are getting there. The only good thing is now we see, mostly if you can watch coaches, it was hard at the beginning. Who are you? A conditioning coach? These guys haven't played football. They're just coming in. Who are they? All that thing. But it's coming up all right. It's coming up all right.
Yeah.
It's coming up all right. We're seeing more than 10, or maybe let me say most of the teams, they have conditioning coaches nowadays. And it's interesting from where we come from and where we are right now, that we are even given a chance to showcase what we can do as conditioning coaches in our football. And it shows, even when you watch high tempo games in our league. We're playing against, I heard you mentioning the Gaborone United game. We were playing against Joining Galaxy.
Yeah.
If you have watched when we were playing against Galaxy, the tempo was very high. You could tell we had The guys like Rene Lolotsolonyane, they were doing their CAF-A there. Fabian
Assessment,
Marquette, yeah, they came to our game. They were impressed with the high level of football that Botswana is displaying at this time. And it all goes back to say the conditioning coaches, the physiotherapist, the head coach, the assistant coach, the video analyst, we are now working together as a team. That's where the science comes in.
Yeah.
It's science. We're saying, no, we are now doing things scientifically and everything. Scientifically is when we are working together, doing researches together, and knowing what can be done, knowing what is right and wrong, and how we can improve. We are testing.
Yeah, and conditioning can also be well advised or informed by where you come from generally, from the food that you ate as a young kid, you know, the culture and the lifestyle like you mentioned. How much do we put into consideration these factors when we do our plans to ensure that we put our players in the best possible, you know, level of competition in their bodies? Yeah,
so you see, you will say that the factors that determine, as you have said, So it's the age when you're conditioning a player, the age of a player. You can't expect me gore ke conditioner Tsotsongele ya ka nka go conditioner Ramotse or Montino sa or ke go tsa Thoko ke go mo conditioner the same way like I can condition Motswagole. It's different. You have to look at those, the energy systems that are different. Ramotse is still more energetic and he can recover quickly, while Tsotsongele, he will take more time to recover. So I need to know when to load Tsotso, when we are playing, when to load Tsotso, when to load Ramotse. Looking at their age, it's something that is you have to pay more attention to each. And again, you look at the gene, it's very different.
Yeah.
The gene type it plays a major role also.
Yeah.
My gene maybe is a gene that while someone's gene eventually he catches up quickly. And the lifestyle, he looks at what he eats, but Ramotse doesn't look at what he eats. So all those things you have to write them down, jot them down, and know how to.
Yeah. Interesting, the developments that we are learning about the new modern ways of running football. One, Rulani Mokwena, the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns, was just saying recently that if they are to sign a player, they don't look only at his talent, they look at his background, even the friends that he keeps, the kind of lifestyle that he lives. So that is the kind of conditioning that these guys are looking at to ensure that once they give you a break, they know exactly what you will be up to. So lastly, in terms of you know, conditioning and generally what we need to do in local football, what is it that we need to put emphasis into, you know, to be able to close the gap on the likes of Mamelodi Sundowns, Orlando Pirates, and other, you know, at the likes of Al Ahly? And because football nowadays, we live in a global, in a global world. So in just a few minutes, and wrapping up, what is your message to other football clubs in the country?
So what I will say to our clubs in Botswana, I will say we need to do a lot of research. So because science is all about research.
Yeah.
And football is merging with science.
Yeah.
Football has become more scientific. So being scientific means more research. More research. We need to come up every day. We have to be coming up with new ways of training players, new training methods, because it changes from time to time. Every day there's something new that comes. So we need to do a lot of research. A lot of research. They will help us. They will improve our football. That's what happens when you research a lot. That's why Sundowns right now, they're at the top in Africa, because they are researching, and we need to benchmark a lot.
Yeah. Shagwa Mogwe like se sebaka se ke go lebogela re bodo tsile ka kono tle go ruta ka ditsamaiso tsa go ba tshameki mo sebong sa go ka kgona go phadisanya mo semong se se go godimo.
Thank you. Go lebogile nna thata.
Aheta jalo ele Shagwa Mogwe, a conditioning coach from Masitaoka FC, telling us about the importance of conditioning our players to be able to get the very best out of their bodies. Well, we have to hold it right here. Oratile will be back to continue with the program. I and you will meet again tomorrow bright and early in the morning. Have yourselves a lovely day.